Look at the financial world around you. Why is it that the vast majority of people work exhausting, 40-hour weeks for 40 years, yet retire with barely enough to survive? Why do brilliant, highly educated people struggle to pay their mortgages, while others seem to attract massive, unstoppable wealth out of thin air? We are taught that wealth is the result of working physically hard. We are taught that getting rich requires a wealthy family, extreme luck, or a genius-level IQ. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years proving that everything society taught you about money is completely wrong. Welcome to the Book Vault. The essence of every book. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. In the early 1900s, Andrew Carnegie, the richest man in the world, pulled a young journalist named Napoleon Hill aside. Carnegie gave him a mission. Spend the next 20 years interviewing the 500 wealthiest, most successful titans of industry in human history. Interview Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and John D. Rockefeller. Find out exactly what they have in common, and distill it into a formula that the average person can use. This book is that formula. Think and Grow Rich is not a book about managing a budget, saving pennies, or investing in index funds. It is a book about psychological alchemy. It teaches you that wealth does not start in the physical world. It starts entirely in the architecture of the human mind. Chapter 1. Desire. If you ask the average person if they want to be wealthy, they will say yes. But if you ask them how much they want and when they will get it, they have no idea. They do not have a desire for wealth. They have a wish for wealth. Wishing will not bring you riches. The first principle of Napoleon Hill's philosophy is desire. But not just any desire. It must be a burning, obsessive desire. To understand burning desire, Hill tells the legendary story of Edwin C. Barnes. Barnes was a young, completely broke man who had one goal. He wanted to work with the great inventor Thomas Edison. He did not want to work for him. He wanted to be his business partner. Barnes had no money. He had no education. He didn't even have enough money to buy a train ticket to Edison's laboratory. So he rode in the freight car of a train like a hobo. When he arrived, he looked like a beggar. But he walked into Edison's office and announced he was there to go into business with the great inventor. Edison gave him a job sweeping floors. For months, Barnes swept floors. Average people would have quit. But Barnes was not wishing. He used those months to observe, wait, and maintain his burning obsession. When Edison invented a new dictating machine that his sales force refused to sell, Barnes saw his opening. He told Edison he could sell it. And he did. He sold it so successfully that Edison gave him the exclusive national contract to distribute it. Barnes became a multimillionaire. He achieved his goal because he burned all his bridges. He gave himself no mental retreat. It was either succeed or perish. Narrator. The 6-step formula for riches. You cannot just have a vague obsession. You must channel that desire into a clinical, precise formula. Hill interviewed the greatest titans of finance and isolated the exact 6-step method for transmuting desire into gold. If you want to be a wealthy finance manager, launch a massive startup, or build a multimillion-dollar portfolio, you must execute these 6 steps exactly. 1. Fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. It is not enough to say, I want plenty of money. Be completely definite. I want exactly $500,000. The subconscious mind cannot process vague commands. 2. Determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money. There is no such thing as something for nothing. What value are you providing to the marketplace? I will provide world-class financial management and elite capital restructuring for my corporation. 1. Establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money. Put a timeline on it. By December 31st of next year. 2. Create a definite plan for carrying out your desire, and begin at once. It does not matter if the plan is perfect. It does not matter if you feel ready. You must take physical action immediately to signal to your brain that this is real. 3. Write out a clear, concise statement. Combine steps 1 through 4 into a single, powerful paragraph. 4. Read your written statement aloud, twice daily. Read it once before you go to sleep, and once right after you wake up. Here is the secret to step 6. As you read it, you must see, feel, and believe yourself already in possession of the money. This is not magic. It is psychological programming. You are giving your brain a GPS coordinate. When you fixate on the exact number and the exact date, your brain's reticular activating system, RAS, turns on. You will suddenly start noticing opportunities, investments, and business connections that were completely invisible to you when you were just wishing for money. Desire is the blueprint. Now, we must lay the foundation. Chapter 2, Faith. You have written down your 6-step statement. You know exactly what you want. But when you read it out loud, I will have $500,000 by next year. A little voice in your head laughs at you. The voice says, "You are broke. You are in debt. Who are you kidding? That is impossible." If you have desire, but you lack belief, the formula breaks. The second principle of wealth is faith. When Hill uses the word faith, he is not talking about traditional religion. He is talking about the state of mind that allows you to trick your own subconscious. Think of your mind as a massive, hyper-intelligent computer. Your conscious mind, the part of you that is listening to this audio, is the programmer. Your subconscious mind is the software. The subconscious mind does not argue. It simply accepts whatever orders you give it, and it works 24 hours a day to turn those orders into physical reality. But the subconscious mind does not understand logic. It does not understand words. It only understands emotion. If you repeat your 6-step statement, but you feel terrified of poverty while you say it, your subconscious mind ignores the words and accepts the emotion of terror. It says, my programmer expects poverty, and it will aggressively orchestrate circumstances to keep you broke. Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When you blend the vibration of a thought with the emotion of faith, your subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to the universe. How do you develop faith if you are currently completely broke? You do it through repetition. Faith is a state of mind that can be induced. If you tell yourself a lie over and over again, eventually you will accept it as truth. The greatest leaders in the corporate world do not wait for confidence to arrive. They manufacture it. Hill demands that you memorize and repeat the self-confidence formula. You must demand of yourself persistent, continuous action toward your goal. You must realize that the dominating thoughts of your mind will reproduce themselves in outward, physical action. You must concentrate your thoughts for 30 minutes a day on the exact person you intend to become, creating a clear mental picture. If you want to be an elite finance manager, you do not wait until you have the title to act like one. You must visualize yourself sitting in the boardroom, managing the portfolio, and making the elite decisions right now. You must feel the leather of the chair. You must feel the weight of the responsibility. When you generate the emotion of already having the wealth, your subconscious mind is tricked into believing the wealth is real. It will then feed you the exact creative ideas, hunches, and plans required to bridge the gap between your current reality and your vision. Faith removes limitations. Remember this absolute rule. There are no limitations to the mind except those we acknowledge. Chapter 3, Autosuggestion. We now arrive at the actual mechanics of reprogramming your brain. You know you need desire. You know you need the emotion of faith. But how do you physically get the goal from your conscious, logical brain down into your emotional, subconscious brain? The tool you use is autosuggestion. Narrator. The garden of the mind. To understand autosuggestion, you must think of your subconscious mind as a massive, incredibly fertile patch of garden soil. If you leave a patch of fertile soil alone, what happens? Weeds grow. Weeds do not require effort. They grow automatically by default. Fear, doubt, anxiety, and poverty are the weeds of the human mind. Because we live in a society filled with negative news, pessimistic people, and economic fear, the seeds of poverty are constantly blowing into your mental garden. If you do nothing, you will grow a
massive crop of failure. To grow a crop of wealth, you must intentionally plant the seeds of prosperity. Autosuggestion is the act of planting the seed. Autosuggestion simply means self-suggestion. It is the agency of communication between the part of the mind where conscious thought takes place, and the part of the mind which serves as the seat of action. When you read your 6-step desire statement out loud every morning and every night, you are practicing autosuggestion. But Hill issues a massive, critical warning here. This is where 99% of people fail at Think and Grow Rich. Reading a piece of paper means absolutely nothing. If you read your statement like a robot, I want $500,000 by next year, your subconscious mind will completely ignore it. Plain, unemotional words do not influence the subconscious mind. You must mix the words with emotion. When you read the statement, you must close your eyes. You must feel the burning desire. You must generate the absolute faith that the money is already waiting for you. When you are lying in bed at night, about to go to sleep, your conscious mind is tired. The barrier between the conscious and subconscious is incredibly thin. This is the ultimate time for autosuggestion. Close your eyes. See the exact amount of money you want. If you are aiming to build a corporate division, visualize the physical spreadsheet with the profit margins. Visualize your signature on the executive contract. Demand that your subconscious mind hand over the exact plan you need to achieve it. Do not try to force a logical plan. Do not worry about how you are going to get the money yet. Just give the subconscious mind the destination. When the plan finally comes, whether it hits you in the shower, or while you are driving, or in the middle of a conversation, it will feel like a flash of inspiration. It will feel like a hunch. When that hunch arrives, you must act on it immediately. Do not hesitate. Do not let your logical brain talk you out of it. The subconscious mind has handed you the blueprint. It is your job to build it. Your ability to use autosuggestion will depend entirely upon your capacity to concentrate upon a given desire until that desire becomes a burning obsession. Chapter 4: Specialized Knowledge. Society has brainwashed us into believing a very specific lie: knowledge is power. Napoleon Hill corrects this immediately. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes actual power only when it is organized into definite plans of action, and directed toward a definite end. There are two kinds of knowledge, general and specialized. General knowledge is what you learn in the standard university system. It is a little bit of history, a little bit of science, a little bit of literature. The professors who teach this knowledge are usually brilliant, but they are rarely wealthy. Why? Because they specialize in teaching knowledge, not in organizing or using it. To become wealthy, you require specialized knowledge of the service, product, or profession you intend to offer in exchange for fortune. To prove that traditional education does not equal wealth or intelligence, Hill tells the famous story of Henry Ford. During World War I, a Chicago newspaper published an editorial calling Henry Ford an ignorant pacifist. Ford sued the newspaper for libel. In the courtroom, the newspaper's lawyers tried to prove that Ford was actually ignorant. They put the billionaire on the witness stand and started asking him obscure, general history questions. Who was Benedict Arnold? How many soldiers did the British send to America to put down the rebellion? Ford was a man with very little formal schooling. He grew tired of the ridiculous questions. He leaned forward and delivered one of the greatest quotes in business history. He said, "If I should really want to answer the foolish questions you have just asked, let me remind you that I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk. By pushing the right button, I can summon to my aid men who can answer any question I desire concerning the business to which I am devoting my efforts. Now, will you kindly tell me why I should clutter up my mind with general knowledge, when I have men around me who can supply any knowledge I require?" The courtroom went dead silent. The lawyers were stunned. That was not the answer of an ignorant man. That was the answer of a deeply educated man. An educated person is not necessarily someone with an abundance of general or specialized knowledge. An educated person is someone who has so developed the faculties of their mind that they can acquire anything they want without violating the rights of others. If you are stepping into a high-level role, like a corporate finance manager, the general theory you learned during your MBA is excellent background. But it is just potential. Wealth comes when you bridge the gap between theoretical knowledge and corporate implementation. You must acquire specialized knowledge. You must master the intricate details of Indian financial regulations, or the specific tax liabilities of a massive consumer goods conglomerate. And here is the greatest secret: you do not need to hold all the knowledge in your own head. Like Henry Ford, you can assemble a mastermind group of accountants, lawyers, and logistics experts. Your job is not to memorize every tax code. Your job is to organize the brilliant minds around you and direct their specialized knowledge toward generating massive capital. Knowledge is just the raw material. You must be the architect. Chapter 5: Imagination. You have your desire. You are acquiring specialized knowledge. Now, you must take that knowledge and put it into the workshop of the mind. You must use your imagination. Napoleon Hill states that the imagination is literally the workshop wherein are fashioned all plans created by humanity. The impulse, the desire, is given shape, form, and action through the imaginative faculty of the mind. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But you must understand that your brain possesses two entirely different forms of imagination. You must know which one to use, and when. 1. Synthetic imagination. Through this faculty, you arrange old concepts, old ideas, or old plans into new combinations. This faculty creates nothing fundamentally new. It simply works with the material of experience and education it already possesses. When a brilliant financial analyst takes an old, inefficient corporate tax structure and rearranges it into a highly optimized, legally compliant system that saves a company millions of dollars, they are using synthetic imagination. 2. Creative imagination. This is the godlike faculty. Through the creative imagination, the finite mind of a human being has direct communication with infinite intelligence. This is the faculty through which sudden hunches and inspirations are received. It is where entirely new inventions, like the airplane or the internet, are born. The creative imagination operates automatically, but it only turns on when your conscious mind is vibrating at an exceedingly high rate, driven by the intense emotion of a burning desire. To prove the power of synthetic imagination, Hill tells the story of an old country doctor and a young clerk named Asa Candler. Over 100 years ago, an old doctor walked into a drugstore. He sold a piece of paper with a secret formula on it to the young clerk for $3,000, his entire life savings. The old doctor had the knowledge, but he lacked imagination. To him, it was just a headache tonic. Asa Candler took that piece of paper. He added one single, missing ingredient to the formula. That ingredient was his imagination. He realized this shouldn't just be sold as medicine, it should be sold as a refreshing beverage to the entire world. He marketed it brilliantly. He built bottling plants. He created an empire out of thin air. That liquid became the most famous consumer product in human history, Coca-Cola. The Coca-Cola empire was not built on sugar and water. It was built on an idea. Ideas are the beginning points of all fortunes. Ideas are products of the imagination. Look at your own career. What old processes can you rearrange? What hidden value can your imagination extract from the mundane spreadsheets and daily operations of your company? If you want to grow rich, do not just work hard. Imagine harder. Chapter 6: Organized Planning. We now arrive at the most vital, practical mechanism in the entire philosophy. You have used your imagination to generate a brilliant idea. But an idea without a plan is just a wish. You must crystallize your desire into physical reality through organized planning. If you are building a YouTube channel, planning an MBA dissertation, or aiming for the corner office, you cannot just wing it. You must build a bulletproof plan. Before you build your plan, Napoleon Hill issues a brutal warning. When you execute your first plan, it will probably fail. Most people quit the exact moment their first plan fails. They let the failure destroy their confidence. Hill demands that you tattoo this law onto your brain: defeat is not failure. It is only temporary. If your first plan fails, it simply means your plan was not sound. It does not mean your goal is impossible. What do? You do not change the goal. You sit down, you build a new plan, and you start again. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before he perfected the incandescent light bulb. He did not change his goal of creating light, he simply built 10,000 new plans. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. Most of you listening to this masterclass are not currently CEOs of billion-dollar companies. You are employees. You are managers. You are offering your brain and your time to a corporation in exchange for a salary. You are marketing your personal services. If you want to become extraordinarily wealthy as an employee, you must stop thinking of yourself as a worker, and start thinking of yourself as a business of one. To command the highest possible salary in the marketplace, you must execute Hill's famous QQS formula. The QQS formula stands for quality, quantity, and spirit. 1. Quality of service. This means performing every single detail of your job in the most efficient, flawless manner possible, with the constant objective of improving your efficiency. You do not just do what is asked, you do it beautifully. 2. Quantity of service. This means the habit of rendering all the service of which you are capable, at all times. You are constantly looking for ways to provide more value than you are currently being paid for. If you consistently provide more value than your salary dictates, the laws of economics demand that your salary must eventually rise to match your value, or a competing company will steal you away. 3. Spirit of service. This is the most important element of all. This means the habit of agreeable, harmonious conduct. You can be the smartest financial analyst in the world. You can work 80 hours a week. But if you are arrogant, toxic, and impossible to work with, nobody will promote you. Wealth flows to those who are magnetic. A pleasing, cooperative spirit is worth its weight in gold. When you organize your plan, you must decide immediately, are you going to be a leader, or a follower? There is no disgrace in being a follower. But there is no massive wealth in remaining one. A leader possesses specific traits: unwavering courage, a keen sense of justice, definiteness of decision, and the habit of doing more than they are paid for. But the greatest trait of a successful leader is sympathy and understanding. A true leader must be able to understand the problems of their followers. If you want to run a financial division, you cannot lead through fear or dictatorship. You must lead by cooperation. You must organize the minds of your team, treat them with profound respect, and direct their collective energy toward a massive, shared vision. When you combine specialized knowledge, synthetic imagination, and organized planning guided by the QQS formula, you become completely irreplaceable. And in the corporate world, the irreplaceable person names their own price. Chapter 7, Decision. Napoleon Hill analyzed over 25,000 men and women who had experienced failure. He found that lack of decision, otherwise known as procrastination, was at the very top of the list of the 30 major causes of failure. He then analyzed several hundred millionaires to find out how they made choices. He discovered a profound, universal law of wealth. People who fail to accumulate money have a very specific habit: they make decisions very slowly, if at all, and they change their minds very quickly and very often. People who accumulate massive wealth do the exact opposite: they reach decisions promptly, and they change those decisions very slowly, if and when they change them at all. Henry Ford was famous for this trait. Once Ford made a decision, he was immovable. When he decided to produce his famous Model T automobile, which was famously considered the ugliest car in the world, his advisors and friends begged him to change the design. Ford refused. He made his decision quickly, and he stuck to it slowly. That decision made him one of the richest men in human history. Why do broke people struggle to make decisions? Because they are easily influenced by the opinions of others. Opinions are the cheapest commodities on earth. Everyone has a flock of opinions ready to be forced upon anyone who will accept them. If you are influenced by opinions when you reach decisions, you will not succeed in any undertaking. If you want to start a business, and you go to your broke brother-in-law to ask for his opinion, he will list 100 reasons why it will fail. He will project his own fear and failure onto you. And because you lack decision, you will let his free, worthless opinion destroy your multi-million-dollar future. Keep your own counsel. When you begin putting your principles into practice, do not tell the world about your plans. Tell no one, except the members of your mastermind group. A closed mouth and open ears are the hallmarks of a millionaire. Those who talk too much do little else. If you talk more than you listen, you not only deprive yourself of opportunities to accumulate useful knowledge, but you also broadcast your plans to people who will delight in defeating you out of pure envy. Tell the world what you intend to do, but first, show it. Decide immediately. Execute ruthlessly. Chapter 8, Persistence. You have made your rapid decision. You have launched your plan. And then, the universe tests you. You lose your biggest client. Your funding falls through. Your prototype breaks. This is the exact moment where 99% of humanity quits. The 1% who achieve unthinkable wealth possess a specific psychological armor called persistence. Persistence is to the character of a human being what carbon is to steel. It makes you unbreakable. Narrator, The Hidden Guide, there is no substitute for persistence. It cannot be replaced by intelligence, formal education, or even raw talent. When you start accumulating wealth, it will seem as if a hidden guide is constantly placing obstacles in your path. This hidden guide is testing your desire. If you quit at the first sign of opposition, the hidden guide deems you unworthy of wealth. But if you keep pushing, if you refuse to accept defeat, the hidden guide eventually steps aside and grants you the prize. Persistence is not a genetic trait. It is a state of mind, which means it can be cultivated. Hill gives you 4 simple, specific steps to forge an unbreakable will. 1. A definite purpose backed by burning desire. If you only, kind of, want to be rich, you will quit. Your desire must be a raging fire. 2. A definite plan expressed in continuous action. You cannot just sit and wait. You must be taking physical steps every single day, no matter how small. 3. A mind closed tightly against all negative influence. You must build a psychological fortress against the discouraging, negative remarks of relatives, friends, and the media. You must become completely deaf to the word impossible. 4. A friendly alliance. You need 1 or more people who will encourage you to follow through with your plan. When you master these 4 steps, you conquer the fear of failure. You realize that failure is simply a trickster with a keen sense of irony. It loves to trip you up when success is almost within your reach. Keep swinging the hammer. Chapter 9, Power of the Master Mind. We now arrive at the ultimate secret of Andrew Carnegie's unimaginable wealth. If you want to accumulate a small amount of money, you can do it alone. But if you want to accumulate a vast fortune, you need power. Power is defined as organized and intelligently directed knowledge. But one person's brain can only hold so much knowledge, and one person's body can only work so many hours. To generate massive power, you must harness the mastermind principle. Hill defines the mastermind as the coordination of knowledge and effort, in a spirit of harmony, between 2 or more people, for the attainment of a definite purpose. This is not just about delegating tasks. This is about neurobiology and energy. Think of the human brain as a battery. A single battery can provide a certain amount of energy. But if you link 5 batteries together in a circuit, they provide a massive, multiplied surge of power that one battery could never achieve alone. When 2 or more people coordinate their minds in a spirit of perfect harmony toward a single goal, something miraculous happens. The chemistry of their combined minds creates an invisible, intangible, third mind. Andrew Carnegie was the absolute master of this principle. Carnegie knew almost nothing about the technical aspects of manufacturing steel. He was not a metallurgist. He was not an engineer. His massive fortune was entirely the result of his mastermind group. He surrounded himself with about 50 men, brilliant chemists, plant managers, and logistical geniuses. His only job was to keep those 50 massive brains completely aligned, focused, and operating in perfect harmony toward the goal of producing cheap, high-quality steel. Chapter 10: The Mystery of Sex Transmutation. Napoleon Hill dedicates an entire chapter to a concept that shocked readers in the 1930s, but remains one of the most potent drivers of human achievement: the mystery of sex transmutation. To understand this, we must strip away the taboo and look at it as pure, biological energy. The desire for sex is the most powerful, primal driving force in human nature. When driven by this desire, people develop imagination, courage, willpower, and persistence that they otherwise do not possess. It is an unstoppable, overflowing energy. The word transmute simply means the changing, or transferring, of one element or form of energy into another. The masses use this massive biological energy purely for physical expression. They waste the energy. The highly successful individual learns the art of sex transmutation. They take that incredibly powerful, driving emotion, and instead of allowing it to dissipate, they redirect it. They channel that ferocious, primal ambition directly into their career, their business, and their creative pursuits. When this primal energy is redirected into the creative imagination, it elevates the human mind to the status of a genius. It gives your thoughts a magnetic, vibrant power that attracts people and opportunities to you. The most successful people in history, from politicians to artists to business tycoons, were individuals with highly developed sexual natures who learned the art of transmuting that energy into the burning desire for wealth. Do not waste your ultimate driving force. Capture the water. Power. Power the dam. Build the empire. Chapter 11: Outwitting the 6 Ghosts of Fear. We arrive at the final battlefield. You can have the desire, the plan, and the mastermind. But before you can put any of this philosophy into successful use, you must clear your brain of its ultimate paralyzing poison. You must conquer the 6 basic fears. Fear is nothing but a state of mind. But because your subconscious mind accepts your state of mind and translates it into physical reality, fear will mathematically guarantee your poverty. Fear destroys your imagination, kills your self-reliance, paralyzes your initiative, and makes autosuggestion impossible. Napoleon Hill isolates the 6 invisible ghosts that haunt humanity. 1. The fear of poverty. This is the most destructive fear of all. It brings paralyzing anxiety, the fear of losing your job, and the desperation that makes you accept a mediocre salary. 2. The fear of criticism. This fear robs you of your initiative. It is the voice that says, "What will my family think if I start a business and fail?" It prevents you from ever taking a risk. 3. The fear of ill health, the hypochondriac obsession with sickness, heavily fueled by negative news and society. 4. The fear of loss of love, the desperate jealousy and clinging that actually drives romantic partners away. 5. The fear of old age, the false belief that age brings uselessness, rather than wisdom. 6. The fear of death, the ultimate paralyzer. How do you conquer these ghosts? You must recognize that they are literally nothing but states of mind. A state of mind is subject to absolute control and direction. You must reach a massive, unshakable decision. To conquer the fear of poverty, reach a decision that you will accept whatever wealth you have, and demand more without desperation. You must realize that poverty is not a disease, it is a choice. To conquer the fear of criticism, reach a decision not to worry about what other people think, do, or say. The people who criticize you are usually the ones who have achieved nothing themselves. To conquer the fear of death, accept it as an inescapable necessity. It is going to happen. Release the anxiety of it, and focus entirely on making the time you have legendary. You have absolute control over only one thing in the universe, your own thoughts. If you fail to control your own mind, you may be sure you will control nothing else. The mind is a spiritual estate. Protect it ruthlessly. Refuse to allow the ghosts of fear to enter the gates of your brain. Conclusion: the final decision. You have reached the end of the methodology. Look at the psychological fortress you have constructed over these 3 masterclass sessions. You are no longer wandering through life hoping for a lucky break. You know the exact science of wealth. You know that money does not start in a bank, it starts as a burning desire in the human mind. You have programmed your brain with the 6-step formula. You have manufactured the emotion of faith, and you are planting the seeds of prosperity into your subconscious through autosuggestion. You know that general knowledge is useless. You will acquire specialized knowledge and inject it into your creative imagination. You will crystallize your ideas into organized planning, executing with absolute quality, quantity, and spirit. And you are now unbreakable. You will make your decisions rapidly and change them slowly. You wear the armor of persistence, deaf to the toxic criticism of the masses. You will tap into the immense power of the mastermind group, redirect your ultimate biological drives toward your ambitions, and you have banished the 6 ghosts of fear from your mental estate forever. Poverty and wealth are both the offspring of thought. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but you think you can't, it is almost certain you won't. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but soon or late the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. Napoleon Hill has handed you the exact formula used by Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, and Thomas Edison. The Carnegie secret is no longer a secret. It is sitting directly in the palm of your hand.